All right, so when we have a graph, you don't have to check to see if it's linear or not because it's going to be very obvious because there's a line there on your graph. When you have a table, that's when you have to check because you have more than 2 points. And so those could all fall on a line if we have 4 points, or they could not. Anytime you just have 2 points, you can always draw a line between 2 points. So we're ready to go ahead and calculate slope between all of these. Okay, and so go ahead and label x1, x2, y1, y2. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1 x2 minus x1 gives me a 12 on top, gives me a 3 on bottom. 12 divided by 3 simplifies to 4. Love it when the bigger number's on top and it simplifies nicely. No negatives. Okay. On this second example, be careful, we got some negatives. x1, x2, y1, y2. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 gives me negative 3 minus 1 on top, 10 minus 2 on bottom. Negative 3 minus 1 is negative 4. If you're in debt $3 and spend another $1, you're now in debt 4. Use your calculator if you need to. I'm not going to stop you. Okay, negative 4 divided by 8 is negative 1/2. It simplifies to 1 over 2. And then since there's a negative in one place, you still have to write the negative. It can be on top, it can be on bottom. Usually they just write it outside the fraction. Just don't lose it, because 1/2 is going to be an option, 2 is going to be an option, negative 2 is going to be an option. They know all the distractors. Okay, so x1, x2, y1, y2. And stick around because these examples get harder. So I'm going to try and hurry through the easier ones. Okay, so y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, on top, 2, bottom, negative 8. Simplifies to 1 over 4. There's one negative, so make sure you write it. All right. On the STAR test, they like to put some ugly numbers in here, so I wanted to put some ugly numbers in here. So label my y's, label the x's. Negative 100, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Negative 100, and then we spend 15 more. We're now at negative 115. Have $4 and we spend 8. We're now in debt 4. Now on this example, notice there is negative in 2 places. When you have a negative divided by a negative, it becomes positive. And so do not write the negative, only if it's in one place, like in this example, the negative 1/2 and the negative 1/4, you need to write it. Okay, over here, we don't because it's in both places. And 115 and 4 don't have any factors in common, so that's as simple as that fraction gets. If they have the decimal, you can also write the decimal. Okay, so these last 2 examples, I'm going to get a lot of questions, so I'm going to know if you watched the video to this point or not. x1, x2, y1, y2. Over x2 minus x1. So y2 is a 5, but so is y1. So you probably see something scary. x2 minus x1. 5 minus 5 is 0, and that always freaks a lot of people out. 0 is also a number, so don't be afraid of 0. Negative 7 minus 1 puts us in debt 8. And so this simplifies. If you were to type 0 divided by negative 8, you would get 0 in your calculator. And that's okay. You can have a slope of 0. What that looks like on the graph, if I were to graph these 2 points, we have negative 7, 1 to 5. Okay, the first 0.15 would be right here. The second point, negative 7.5, would be over here. And so since they have the same, I didn't do a good job. Since they have the same y values, they graph a horizontal line. And any horizontal line on a graph is going to have a slope of 0. The rise is 0. You didn't rise at all, you're just running. So rise over run is 0. Let's look at what happens on this last example. All right, y2 minus y1 is 13 minus 0. And then on bottom, we have 2 minus 2. So 0 shows up once again, but this time he's on bottom. This does not equal 0. If you type this in your calculator, you're going to get a big error sign because you're not allowed to divide by 0. And what that means is it's undefined. If I tell you to take this set of pencils and divide it amongst 0 people, you would be very confused because you can't divide by 0. And so anytime you see 0 on bottom, it's undefined. And what this looks like on the graph, let's put 13 up here. Our first point, 2, 0 is right here. Our second point, 2, 13 is right here. They have the same x value. And so we know this isn't even a function. It fails the vertical line test because it is a vertical line. And so an undefined slope is a line that goes straight up and down, a vertical line. Okay, and so watch out for the 0 case and the undefined case. The 0 case has the same y's. The vertical undefined case has the same x. So your answer would actually be 0 in this case. Your answer would be undefined in this case. And both are always options on a test. So be careful that you know which case applies to which.